Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Force with some more Hearthstone. Today we'll be spotlighting the Backspace Rogue, an aggressive go for the face style of deck similar to the Face Hunter and Paladin. We've got a variety of 1 to 2 drop minions like the Leper Gnome and Faerie Dragon, some strong removal spells such as Sap or removal and damage like Eviscerate, and then the combo finisher of Leeroy Jenkins and Shadowstep. Let's go ahead and take a look at the deck in action. I know so many of you are probably sick and tired of seeing rogues, but you're most used to the Miracle Rogue. Some mid-range has started to come through. I thought this was a really interesting face rogue deck, and I'm pretty excited to show it to you. Now this deck was featured on Blizz Pro as Don't Kick My Robots Deck of the Week by Christopher, but the deck is originated from Backspace, as the deck is named after the Backspace Rogue. And again, it is a face style gameplay. So the general idea is that you go for some board control for the first few turns, but beyond that you're really trying to prioritize hitting your opponent's face and zerging them down basically as quickly as possible. So that's going to be the general game plan here. Not seeing any one drop from our opponent at the very least. Oh, here we go. We're going to see a 3 from him. I'll be very interested. Harvest Golem. Okay. So the Harvest Golem. What are we going to do about that? I mean, we could throw both of our creatures at it, or we could just ignore it and continue to go for his face and then force him to engage with our creatures. Because that's a very difficult to remove minion, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to ignore it and continue to push for his face. Sap we want to save for later game stuff, so we're not going to bother with that right now. We're just going to go with the general game plan, which is for the face. You sort of have to make a judgment call. The thing is, if I wanted to get rid of that, I would have to use a Divine Shield, sacrifice my Leper Gnome, and weapon attack into it. I'd rather still get the damage to his face and have him push the damage at it like he just did, for example. That's sort of preferable to me. Now, this is a sort of a tricky situation here. I'm trying to think about how I want to handle this. We do have the Leeroy Shadowstep combo. That's definitely going to be for a bit later in the game. I could do quite a number on his board right now. Let me think. Could attack that for 1, and then Blade Flurry, but I feel like I'd want to save the Blade Flurry for later. Alright, I'm going to keep the Divine Shield on this. I'm going to hit that in the face. We're going to be saving the Blade Flurry for a little bit later, specifically with the Deadly Poison is what I'd prefer to do it with. Because we know he's going to be throwing more minions on the board right now. So let's just go ahead and stick with that. We're going to hold on to the Sap. We'll hold on to the Shadowstep. Yeah, we're going to hold on to all of this for now. I don't want to throw the Deadly Poison down yet in case he's running Acidic Swamp Ooze. I don't want the... Alright. So, we will be able to clear this with the Deadly Poison board clear. And I think that's probably what we should do at this point. So we're gonna toss a Deadly Poison. We will attack that. And then we're gonna Blade Flurry to finish it off. Alright. We'll go ahead and hit him in the face. And just hero power up. So the Leeroy Shadowstep combo. Alright, that's 12 damage guaranteed right there. And all you need for that is 6 mana total. So that's something that we could do next turn. Shadowstep is going to return to your hand, make it cost 2 less. So we've got 12 damage, 13, 14. Not quite enough to finish, but pretty darn close. We can actually set up for a finisher in just a moment. We could set up for a finisher next turn. Let me just confirm here. So we're going to have 12 damage from this, 13, 14. So that's not enough this turn. But next turn, we could definitely do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw down Assassin's Blade now. We're going to hit him in the face with both of these. And then we will pass the turn again. Now, so long as he doesn't play a huge taunt, we'll be able to get our combo off, okay? Whoa. What? He... Well, that's sort of a disappointing way to showcase the deck. As he just completely gave up a turn? Unless I'm mistaken? He just sacrificed a... He just didn't do anything that turn, right? Oh well, that's the combo. That's a look at the deck. Let's take a look at the deck list. While that was certainly a very strange situation in terms of how that game ended, you still got to see the deck in action, you still got to see the general idea, the general gameplay. You go for the face, you prioritize when you need to clear the board, but beyond that, you're focusing on damage to the face and then a big finisher. And we've got a few ways to do that big finisher, which we'll talk about here as we take a look at the deck list. So 2 Shadowsteps, big combo maker with the Shadowstep. You saw the finisher, guaranteed 12 damage for 6 mana with Leeroy Jenkins. You can also combo it with a few different things. You can combo it with the Arcane Golem for additional charge damage. You can combo it with the SI7 agent for the extra combo damage, replaying it for 1. I've even comboed it with the Coldlight Oracle before to make people deck themselves. And playing this deck, I got into some games where we got into the long game and I was able to Coldlight Oracle, Shadowstep it back, Coldlight Oracle again, and kill someone from fatigue damage. I mean, all sorts of potential combos you can do. It's really crazy. And then you throw in the notion of Cold Blood. We've got the Cold Blood for when comboed an extra 4 damage. So envision a situation where we've got 7 mana, okay? For 4 mana, Leeroy Jenkins, 6 damage. Shadowstep it back, play it again for 2, and then that extra 1 bit of mana, you're going to get a comboed Cold Blood. That is going to be 16 damage, that combination right there. 16 damage. That's half someone's life total in 1 turn. We've got the Deadly Poison, obviously used on your weapon, used in combination with Blade Flurry for your average board clear, but then a Deadly Poison on an Assassin's Blade. If you feel like your opponent won't have weapon removal, that is pretty much a game winner right there. 4 swings with 5 damage. That's very tough for someone to deal with who doesn't have weapon removal. Got some of our early drops, the Argent Squire, Leper Gnome, good value in Argent Squire with a Cold Blood, for example. If you think they have no easy way to eliminate that, force them to attack into it with weapon attacks and whatnot. Leper Gnome is just value. Southsea Deckhand sort of functions as another Leper Gnome, because if you play it with a weapon equipped, you get the guaranteed 2 damage, and then at the very least, you'll get another 2 damage for when they remove it, or the use of a damage removal spell. So that's definitely really good there. Becomes less valuable against someone like a mage when you have to worry about, well, their hero power, basically. We've got the Blade Flurry. Obvious use here is for board clear. That just, you use this to clear the board, plain and simple. Eviscerate, used for big taunt removal or to push through the extra damage. Sap, pretty much primarily used for big taunt removal. We've got the Defias Ringleader, something you saw a lot of way back in early beta. Every rogue was playing with 2 of these with the coin, but you're seeing less of these. Running a single one of them I think works with this deck list. Same thing goes with the Faerie Dragon. It's definitely a good card. It can be very annoying to deal with, and you can push through some damage. Loot Hoarder, while it's a 2/1, and that's great, a lot of its use comes from the fact that it's drawing a card. It's going to get you 2 damage or the use of a removal spell. Arcane Golem as a charge finisher, again with Shadowstep, with Cold Blood, sort of the same idea as what you get out of Leeroy Jenkins. Coldlight Oracle, primarily used in the late game with you being able to follow up the card draw. So filling up your opponent's hand isn't the greatest thing, especially early game. That gives them answers for your creatures. But in the late game, if you can play Coldlight Oracle and then play those 2 cards that you drew as a potential kill, that's great. King Mukla, you want to play this on an empty board, ideally. So that's why a lot of times, as I mentioned at the start of the video, you want to focus those first couple of turns on board control, and then you're finishing off the rest of the game pretty much with damage to the face. And if you get board control and you can drop down a King Mukla on an empty board, that's very tough for a lot of heroes to deal with. SI7 agent, so much value in it, really no question having it in the deck. Leeroy Jenkins, big finisher, and Assassin's Blade with a Deadly Poison. If they can't remove that, GG. A Blade Flurry for a 5 damage board clear. And yeah, there you go. That's the deck. Now, this is all written up in a great guide over on Blizz Pro. You're going to get a link to that in the video description below. If you want to see some more gameplay, stay tuned. We'll be doing another video to follow this one up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day. Keep watching and keep owning.